Friends, a warm welcome to channel We Are Artists. Today in this episode, we have one of the eminent artists of India, R.M. Palaniappan. Friends, we all have seen Palaniappan sir's work, his compositions, his artworks, the way he presents his narration. Today, let us speak to him and try to know his thought process, his ideas, and his concepts about his work. A warm welcome, Palaniappan sir, to channel We Are Artists.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a great pleasure to have you, sir.
Sure.
Yeah. Sir, without wasting much time, I would straight away like to get into this subject, saying that, sir, your art, what you present is something totally different from any of the abstract concepts. So my curious question would be like, sir, how did you arrive at this concept? Because usually, conventionally, traditionally, abstract painters, they have their the brushstrokes, the subject, the exploration in a different concept, whereas you are far away or far different from those concepts. So how did you arrive into that concept?
See, when I was there in the college during my study period, I also, wants to become like a old following the old masters actually, and doing a good paintings of portraits and maybe landscapes and other things. But when it comes to the composition, and everybody was, in my class, they are creating new things actually with not only abstract but figuration and other things. But I can't, go in the regular pattern because I wanted to bring something what is there in my mind actually. I mean, invisible things, when I tried to find out, but I'm not able to get it properly in the fourth year studies. So, but then, I started finding my own personal interest. My personal interest was mathematics, science, geometry, those kind of things, From that, I started actually. Then I started, very, very casual way I started, very simple way, but it becoming little serious later. Immediately it's becoming very serious. I started doing something on the line of mathematics and kind of a science-oriented things. Since my early days, I was so much interested in astronomy. Those part also it started entering, and the flying objects also started entering into my subject matter. So it's all, makes me to move in a little different direction than the other people. So from that day onwards till today, I have not changed my thinking process. I'm thinking the same line, kind of evolution of one after another, but it is a kind of continuous process. It is like my own world I'm created.
But a very curious question, sir. Like, since childhood, or because last time when I spoke to you, you mentioned to me this, saying that you are more interested in science, in astronomy, physics, calculations, and all. Now, how is that you did not enter into any engineering subject and rather you came down to fine arts?
I came to Chennai study, architecture. Unfortunately, I didn't get a good score in the basic requirement in my school college studies, pre-university studies. So, and I entered into the same time, there was an interview for my, art studies also for 5 days interview, 5 days kind of a examination and interview also. I got passed actually. But once I started entering into the college, I never thought about it that I'm going to, end up with this kind of abstraction. I thought I'm going to do some kind of realistic painting because my background was from the, near small town. I didn't get a much exposure to any art, My father was a calendar agency, so I used to see lots of calendars, figurative calendars actually. Those kind of things only, it made me to, started involving in the fine arts, at the beginning. And I was so sincere. That's one thing I can say, when I was studying painting or sculptures or maybe drawing, everything I systematically studied actually. If it's a watercolor, what different kind of watercolor styles of the approaches, like a Chinese technique, Japanese technique, those kind of things. So I started handling the medium very nicely actually those days actually. From that, it comes actually.
Usually in abstract paintings,
Yeah.
or you can see in any other form of art, like in poetry, literature, or anything, it has more sort of a philosophical touch,
Yes.
whereas your abstract work has more sort of a scientific touch. But yet, when we see that beyond a limit or beyond a stage, science and art or philosophy, everything can have a philosophical what do you say, a convergence. Because a few days back or a month back something, I was watching an interview of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and he is this thing where even how much scientific he was, but yet he could give a very philosophical touch to that this thing. So have you ever experienced this sort of thing where your entire abstract concept has a scientific base, but it is still going on towards very philosophical one, or still is it in the scientific level itself? How do you think?
No, I only at the beginning, I was so much keen on those kind of things. Later, I really like from the beginning, I like a philosophy. From the beginning, I was concentrating on the conceptual part of it. Once you started putting your concept in a friend, that means, philosophy comes automatically on its own way. That is what, because that what you are seeing, my recent works, that line or a broader lines or with a line with a line, it has its own philosophy, and it has its own life. I mean, I was talking about a life of some kind of a movement actually. So it starts somewhere, the life starts somewhere, ends somewhere, something like that. So that it always a starting point and end point in the every line actually. And also some of the lines is coherence with one another. That means we both have some kind of a relation, sometime those kind of relations can be defined in the line itself actually.
Sir, your artwork compositions has has some mathematical terms. The lines there, it looks a bit geometric. Some of your the printmaking or something, like it has some architectural narration like. So even today, when you paint, do you think in terms of mathematics and architecture wise for making the drawing, or are you at a different level of thinking when you have to make a composition?
It is a good question. But see, even still, when I'm still now, when I'm doing a composition, any compositions, my first approach was a very free drawings, free composition, free approach in the composition. Then I do bring it to the some kind of a mathematical sequences actually, and some kind of a design oriented, some kind of a space oriented. I mean, I want the space to speak. I think the negative and positive space, both the spaces are very important to me actually in the painting. I mean, so I always compose a thing once emotionally, once I attend emotionally on the canvas. Later I switched on to shifting here and there to make that composition in a little different manner actually. That's what it's happening in my works all the time.
Sir, I had seen some images of your earlier works, I think so, maybe during your college time, where it was like you had those landscapes, you had those watercolor landscapes, you had that life-size portraits and all. And where the brush strokes, they were very free, they were mischievous, they were playful. Whereas when I see your abstract work, it is very composed, very wise, very intelligent, very this thing like. So how did you shift from that mischievous brush strokes to a very composed, wise brush strokes, colors, application and all?
Yeah, it's also one good question. So I always think about it. I mean, why it is happening? Because still now, when I'm going to the any museums, any international museums, I do see that the old masters work in a very in a deeper way. I mean, I do enjoy that, the strokes. I mean, that brush strokes and the composition of the way and the colors and other things. When it comes to my own painting compositions, I never think so far. Maybe when I'm doing some drawings, free drawings, that time I'm using that very emotional approach. When it comes to the composition of painting or the graphics, I always meticulously working on it actually. That's what it's happening. I mean, because my interest, I feel like, I wanted to express everything in a very systematic way actually. I mean, what I feel. I mean, it has to be communicated in a proper manner. Maybe a lot of, um, you may think about it maybe in a little different way. I mean, but I wanted to express the way I want. I mean,
Yeah. Sir, you come from Chennai,
yeah,
and Chennai has the very famous Madras movement.
yeah,
Now, throughout India, when we see, we have the Bombay School of Art, we have the Baroda, we have the Bengal one, but the Madras one here down. And compared to other school of art, uh, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I have always found Madras art movement or the artists associated with Madras art movement quite rebellious. They have always done something different compared to all others. Like otherwise, even when there are the abstract painters or figurative painters, even in Madras movement, the lines, the strokes, and the forms that they create is quite rebellious, and it's very strong. It's like, however, Madras or Chennai or that Tamil Nadu, the culture wise, if we see, it is lot of this Pauranic, the mythological, the spiritual aspects. Uh, these aspects are very strong. The sculpture aspects are very strong. So there are three angles now here. When you look at the culture, when you look at the sculptures, when you look at the work, they are very much mythological, very much with the Pauranic, with very calculative measurements and work. Whereas when you see the Madras movement, it's quite rebellious, and they have been really, they have been successful in breaking forms. It's like, for example, KCS Panikar, he's one of my most favorite revered one. He totally went out of the way to create something new and all. So when you see these three different school of thoughts within Chennai, within this thing, like, how do you find yourself into this?
yeah. I am the artist of the mid era actually. Because the Madras movement was almost it was gone in many years in the 80s actually. You can
Yes,
say.
yes.
I started my career by in 80s only, but I was happened to see lots of things what it was there actually, and what how the artists explored the the drawings and the paintings. I mean, one thing I found from the compared with the in international art or the Indian art in Chennai, I found that these lines are it gives a open to go breathe inside the subject matter. That's what I found. I mean, see, it is not the completely finished line. Actually, you can see. I mean that external space will go inside, internal space will go outside. I mean that is the speciality of the Chennai school. I mean that they use the freedom of the line. Without line, you can't. Almost 99% of the artists' works, they have a line. But
Yeah.
why these lines are different in Madras school is, there is an opening. There is an opening for, to have a breath of that, space actually. That's what, it is there in the Madras School of Art actually. Those days, I mean, there lots of experiment was going on that line, including the figuration and including abstraction also. Even the artists like Viswanathan Burke, it's only a very simple triangle, but it's a fantastic space actually.
Yeah.
I mean, a very peculiar spacing, peculiar color, peculiar way of approaching the composition. Even it's a simple.
Yeah. That when it comes to the space engineering, sir, I find your work of art also, there is brilliant space engineering. Now you play very brilliantly with lines and forms, making it geometric, making it very mathematical, scientific. But however, there is, I think, when I see, like, it is that space element which is the most significant part, of your entire composition. So do you have any specific thought process for that space engineering when it comes?
Um, Actually, for me, from the beginning, I always think about the space only. The space means, there is a two space. One is that, that endless space, kind of, how you are thinking about a universal space. Another one is a confined space. When you are coming to the confined space, it's always, it goes against that, infinity, space of infinity, actually. So I always match with these two things. I mean, even within the confined space, I want to bring that infinite space inside the painting, actually. So my recent works, I'm bringing the light inside the part. So like that, we are seeing ourselves inside, actually, like that. That's why I started opening the line, so you can see the line. You can see the light inside the line, actually. Earlier days, my drawings were just a suspended line on the space. So the whole even though there is a confined space, the confined space is endless. That the margin, you can't keep the margin. The margin can be extended. Here, my recent works, it's a confined space. I'm bringing it together, but then I wanted to extend it to the infinity. Then only the light I can find out of it. That space. Because of that, only I'm bringing the light inside the light, actually, and also making it color.
Coming to your color, sir, because your color scheme is not that of a very traditional Indian color scheme. Like it is a very nice play between the Indian and the Western. And the colors are very, what do you say, they are very strong, but strong in the sense they have a lot of stamina when it comes to the degree of it. They are very concrete, but however they play a very nice this thing between the Indian and the Western colors. So do you intentionally play with the color scheme like this way, or do you still experiment just like how you experiment with the space and line with the colors as well?
Oh yes, I mean I'm experimenting only, but because my early days, my early days works were very much with the old masters. It's a very compatible, gray balanced, very well gray balanced works. I mean, in the watercolor or the landscapes or portraits and everything. Even that I have done a lot of works like a Rembrandt. When I'm seeing the model, I do paint like a Rembrandt, like a more textured and a more, with a, in a different proper lighting, actually. So that reflects in my work, recent works also. That's no doubt in it, actually. I don't have, but whenever I'm approaching that new work, but I never thought about, I never think about any color, which color should go here and there, hundreds and hundreds of times I do change. You don't believe it. I mean, the painting, all the times, I do change the color. Even though the drawing will remains the same, but color I used to change, and finally it arrives into certain, pattern, actually.
Yeah. So you have visited number of countries. You have represented India also, and also on your personal capacity, you have visited museums, you have visited art colleges and everything. I have two questions here, sir. So initially, when you started with your abstract work with such a scientific foundation, how did the market respond to you, maybe nationally and internationally? How did they respond to you? For example, see, when you go outside India, maybe they expect an Indian artist to have that typical Indian, the Indianness in that painting, whereas yours was very scientific. So how did the market or the galleries or the curators, buyers, how did they approach you nationally and internationally? How was that experience?
No, one thing I wanted to tell you first thing. My work is not very scientific, actually, but it is. So I'm bringing that emotional part also in it.
Yeah.
Aesthetic of the common aesthetic also I'm bringing it. But the common aesthetic in the sense, I'm not going away from the painting. Painting again, I'm keeping the painting as a the surface oriented things, actually. But lot of things, I have done a lot of works in my diaries. For your information, I'm telling you, a lot of info. Because when I was working in the Lalit Kala for in the government department for more than 35 years, most of my works, I have done a smaller works, or I have done many things in a diary kind of things, sketch notebooks, hundreds of notebooks. There is a thousands of possibilities. I can do it with the conceptual sound installation. So much of things, I have done it in that, in the paperwork. I have done it. Still, I have not explored. So, whatever it comes to me that emotionally, immediately I do draw. That's what I'm telling you. Immediately, I used to draw in my sketch notebooks, or I used to write something on that actually. So that is happening on one side of it. And I had all my days, I was doing a very smaller work. Now I started doing a larger work actually. Okay, this is the three part of it. So whenever I used to go abroad, I never thought about it, sell my works. And frankly speaking, I never find out any of my galleries or anything anywhere actually. Only 1 or 2 times it's happening. I mean, there are some museums, they exhibited my works, and museum they purchased my works, and most of my travels were there arranged by the local governments, American government, or British governments, or maybe German, or so like that actually. So I never thought about it, those kind of commercial aspect of it. I always worked with the academic side of it a bit. So only later period I started going to the these what do you call the South Korea, and they are very much keen on my work. They are really interested in my work, and a lot of I do sold some good work, good number of works also. A lot of good connoisseurs, they like my work. Big connoisseurs, they like my work, and I'm quite popular there. Actually, that's what I heard about it. Actually,
Excellent, sir. You also have done a lot of creative work in printmaking.
yeah.
And now in printmaking, the line theory is the important element, because
Yeah.
you etch, you pull the lines and all. And so how do you think, does your painting inspire or motivate or pull your printmaking, or does your printmaking motivate your painting?
No, it is a vice versa, but basically print only, the graphical quality only, it comes to my painting actually. Graphic, the sensibilities of graphics. I mean, the surface, not only the surface, but the sensibilities. I mean, you can, a lot of elements are there in the graphics, I mean, graphic side of it actually. So those kind of things, influenced my work. I mean.
And how do you, which one do you find more interesting, printmaking or this thing, or the
Both are
painting?
important. So both are very important for me. But whenever, whatever it comes into my mind, wherever it suits, I mean, I do work. But now I'm doing a lot of drawings and painting. I mean.
Sir, you are such a senior artist. You have worked with academics. You have worked with the various national and international scenarios, with different programs and all. Now, by and large, you also know how the world scenario of art is. And so, with respect to that, how do you find today's India's contemporary art scenario, sir?
Yeah, it moves a very correct direction actually, because a lot of conceptual ideas are existing, and they are doing, a lot of artists are experimenting, and that gives a different kind of opening for the younger generation actually. No doubt in it actually, no doubt. I mean, only thing, there should be some provisions in the art schools. I mean, when they are practicing it, it has to be a subject matter there. Actually, it is not there except 1 or 2 colleges. That is why some stagnations and some lifting here and there. That is happening. I mean, it should be part of the curriculums. I think.
And you feel like it's going in the right direction, and the younger generation who's coming up are really taking challenging tasks, or do you have any advice for them, saying this is the way how it can be done?
Yeah, only one thing, in India, concept, there is no problem in it actually. When you are opening your eyes, wherever you are seeing, wherever you are mundane, like thousands of philosophies, general philosophies, you can take it as a part of your art existence. I mean, that is the one thing I can tell you. Another one, when you are any stories or epics or anything, thousands and thousands of uh, possibilities for eye-opening channels of there to do something. I mean, something new conceptually. That's what, I mean, we don't need to look into the West or anywhere. Yeah.
So you two believe that India has a lot of things within itself, so we don't have to look towards the West for any of the
Yeah, concept wise.
Concept
Because
wise.
it's thousands and thousands of concepts are there actually still to explore. Why we should, I mean, because West they are doing their own with their own route. And see, all my works when you are going through from the beginning, I had taken only from the native philosophies. I mean, native concept. I mean, yeah, like Navagraha, for example, Navagraha, and 63 Nayamas they put together, and I put it as a circles, alien planets series. All it came only from that kind of things. I mean, where it is there in the temples.
Sir, you have a long span of career working with the Lalit Kala Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Lalit Kala Academy is a government body.
Yeah.
Now, how do you find, sir, in India, how the how do you think the government bodies throughout, I mean, throughout the country, wherever it is, like, do you think they are at par with the international scenario, national scenario, or is there any gap or lacuna or something like, this is something missing that the this is
Yeah.
something missing that the our government institution should have this, like.
Yeah, but you can't expect, government institutions, they have their own kind of norms and practices, and also kind of a democratical system. Certain democratical system will not work with this kind of free flow creative works actually. Definitely, it will not actually. But certain extent, they contributed a lot. Lalit Kala contributed a lot to the development of Indian art. There's no doubt in it actually. But it will vary time to time. I mean, according to the, according to the, who heads the institution, what is the present, the policy matters. All those kind of things reflects it.
Yeah. Sir, you have been working with this concept. It can be art, a painting, or it can be printmaking or something. Is there some concept or an idea which you feel that it's challenging and you still haven't touched it, or you want to touch and explore it, or something like?
See, in 1982, I gave one statement. I want this universal space to make my drawing. That means that I wanted to use that racket and flight to make as a tools to make my own drawing, and to express the freedom. That's what, if it's happened, definitely, when I was there in Springle Museum in Germany, I spoke this thing, because it was printed, in one of my folder. That particular one, that curator was so much interested in. Why don't you approach Palaniappan? Why don't you apply for that, some major grants for the European space, space, uh, what do you call that,
The space agencies.
yeah,
Space agencies.
certain agencies and all, they will help you for all these kind of things, I had not done it because I was working in the Lalit Kala, is a government body. I didn't do it, anything, I mean, yeah. But that is the only one thing, it is missing in my things, Really, I want to do something in the real space, actually, not in the paper. What I'm doing it is, everything what is happening in my mind. I wanted to bring the picture to what is happening in my mind. It's a kind of, invisible picture. See, there is two things, I wanted to tell you two things. When whatever you are talking about, any concept, anything, always the two things will be remaining in your mind, always, when the talk is going on or when a conversation is going on. One is the physical aspect of it, and another one is psychological aspect of it. I mean, both the things are very important. But since both the things are there, you cannot see the things properly. See the things what it is there, you can't see it actually. So I wanted to bring that. I wanted to bring that, picture for those kind of experience actually. That the between that actually.
Yeah.
That is what all my works are, based on that. Either in the document series or my present series of, the kind of a movements actually. Yeah.
Currently, on what series are you working, sir?
My present series are only the movements, and coherence of movements.
Moments, like, yeah. I've taken a lot of time. Last one question, sir,
Yeah.
about what would you now, considering all your experience, your time, your work, your research, what you have done, what would be that one message you would like to give the upcoming or the emerging artists, saying that this is one you guys are missing, you got to take this, you got to do this?
Uh, wherever I used to go to, that small lectures or something like that, conversation with the artists, I used to say only one thing actually. The personal history is a very, very important. Personal history in the art. Personal history means, when I'm talking about my personal history, uh, it may be anything. I mean, personal history means it's not only my life, my experience, my understanding, everything. This is a very, very important. I should not do something somebody's experience in my painting. Actually, so that means I have to go through inside and find out deep what I am actually, and I have to find out how to bring that works, that sensibilities in the painting. Uh, from the I mean, I'm carrying my prehistoric man inside. That means I have my own evolution of See, another one I wanted to tell you: even you cut a small piece of your painting and throw away, genetically it has to prove it is your painting. Actually, you got
Correct.
my point? That means that much originality. You have to work for that much originality.
Correct. Sir, is there anything which you would like to share? Maybe I have missed or not, because this is an important conversation where I think many would be interested to. This thing is, if I missed any point or anything, and anything that you have to share, you have to tell us.
Nothing wrong in it. I mean, the only thing people, we have to visit museums often actually, and we should not differentiate that Indian art or Western art, or of course it is differences are there, basic roots are different. I mean, but we have to have an openness by seeing any arts, any kind of art. And for me, I like philosophy, I like music, I like science. I'm not hatred of anything of which is a very much go with the truth actually. So I really like it actually. That's why if everybody they keep their mind open by seeing when they are practicing art, definitely something will come on its own original way actually.
Thank you very much, sir. It was
Sure.
a great pleasure talking to you. I've taken much of your time. I would definitely like to invite you again, once again, for a bigger round of discussion, sir, with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, friends. So this was the eminent artist, R.M. Palaniappan from Chennai. So I believe that you like this conversation. Do like, share, comment, and subscribe channel We Are Artists, and let us know what you think about this interview. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.